Hundreds of post office workers due to faulty software developed by a Japanese firm has exploded into the public domain following a TV drama triggering demands for justice. My colleague Ollie Barrett is in London. He gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Thank you, Ollie, for being patient with us. So Fujitsu representatives will face some heat now.
I think they will, Tanvi. It certainly is beginning to look that way. The Japanese technology giant Fujitsu is well in the crosshairs of British lawmakers for building faulty accounting software that led to what has been called the country's biggest ever miscarriage of justice. Fujitsu created the Horizon IT system that resulted in some 700 local post office managers being wrongly convicted for theft and false accounting between 1999 and 2005. Amid mounting public anger, Britain is moving to quash convictions and pay compensation after hundreds of self-employed sub-postmasters were wrongly convicted between 1999 and 2015. UK Postal Affairs Minister Kevin Hollinrake said in Parliament that anybody shown to be responsible for the scandal should be held accountable. And we can talk now to DD India's Stuart Smith, who's joining me live from London. Stuart, the UK government seems to be signalling an intention to pursue Fujitsu for compensation, but not quite yet.
That's right. A minister on Thursday said that there is an ongoing independent inquiry, but once that has wrapped up, most likely it looks like by the end of this year, the government would be interested in making sure that those who have made mistakes pay the price. Now, earlier in the week, the Justice Secretary, Alex Chalk, said that the investigation and the potential remediation has cost and will cost a fortune, and he would like to see that if the scale of the incompetence is as we might imagine, he says, then he would want to see proper recompense on behalf of the taxpayer. And other Conservatives, lawmakers and other opposition Labour lawmakers are calling for other action too. Some are suggesting that Fujitsu should have its contracts with the government cancelled with immediate effect. Others are saying it should be unable to accept future contracts. And one ex-cabinet minister said if Fujitsu had any sense of honour, it would swiftly make a significant payment towards those wrongly convicted.
OK, Stuart. And now the government is admitting that its plans to legislate to quash the convictions in this scandal are far from uncomplicated. What are some of the concerns?
There are a couple of big concerns that have been put forward. One is that, indeed, this is legislation to overturn convictions. And in general, it's usual in the UK legislative process that the courts decide on convictions and Parliament passes laws. This is blurring the lines, some lawyers say, and while there is great support in Britain, cross-party support for the wrongly convicted sub-postmasters, some say this process should continue through the courts, but that has been a long and slow process so far, and the government says it's keen to pass this legislation in the next few weeks. The other concern is that there's the possibility, with a blanket overturning of these convictions, some sub-postmasters who genuinely were stealing from the post office would have their convictions overturned and be entitled to hundreds of thousands of dollars in compensation. The government says it's aware of that and is trying to put in place safeguards to make sure that there are consequences for anyone illegitimately claiming any compensation, but it's a concern for sure.
Stuart Smith, thank you. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky says a ceasefire in the Russia-Ukraine conflict would primarily favour Russia.